Okay, so on today's video, I'm going to be talking about eating healthy, and veganism, being a vegetarian, being a meat eater, and so forth, and how it relates to Christianity. And, there's a lot of stigmatism that I grew up under when it came to being a vegetarian or a vegan, in when it under the church, like black churches. I've once in a while hear how blacks talk about veganism and being vegetarian and so forth, and people who might become vegans or become a vegetarian, they're often like ostracized for their choice and their lifestyle to go in that direction. The meat eaters will defend their stance against going vegan. And even Christians use the Bible to uphold their desire to continue to eat certain foods. There's the scripture it doesn't really encourage you to eat these types of food that we eat, certain meat products and so forth. It basically says that no one should judge you if you are a vegan or a vegetarian, or if you're a meat eater. No one can judge you and say anything about what you eat. But if you want to go into God's best for us, which he definitely covers in the scriptures, his best is that we actually eat a little bit better than we do. His best, based on scriptures and what I've been reading in the scriptures, is for us to actually go in a direction of vegetarianism. Is that a word? But to be vegetarians or to be vegans. So anyway, there's definitely some things within that area, and I feel like it's very important that we understand God's best. And his best is for us to eat healthy, because the Bible supports eating from the earth. And from Genesis, if you start out in Genesis, you always want to go to the beginning. If you want the answers and the solutions to the problems that we're having, you go back to the beginning. Whether you want to find out where the problem started, or if you want to find a solution, you go back to the beginning. In Genesis, when Adam was created and Eve and so forth, they weren't eating meat, they weren't eating animals and so forth. And in Genesis, I think it's Genesis 1 verse 29, then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. So that was God's best. And then, of course, sin came into the world, and then we got a taste for flesh, for meat. So, that's very interesting. We always have to go back to the beginning and go back to Genesis to know what is God's best. Now, God does have his best for us because he knows what's good for us. So the fruits from the earth, the herbs that he makes from the earth, that comes from the earth, are what's best for us. They have healing properties in them. God put healing substances in the earth, in our certain plants, certain fruits and vegetables and herbs and all these things. God put healing properties, these produces that he made. But a holistic doctor or someone from another belief system, they know what you are supposed to be eating. If you go back to the biblical times, you can clearly see how people back then outlived their time. Like, they would live up to 100 and something years old. They were in good health. And now, if you come fast forward to today, people are getting cancer, all types of diseases. They're dying younger, especially in the black culture. And no one wants to talk about it. Churches don't talk about it or anything like that. Now, I'm someone who believes that, our body is a temple of the Lord. This is what we teach. This is what we say. Our bodies is the temple of the Lord. So isn't it our responsibility to take care of our bodies health-wise? Because you will serve no good purpose to the kingdom if your body is a wreck, if you're suffering and you can't do the work of God, you can't do the work of Christ. So it's very pertinent that we take care of our health, eat right, and so forth. There's a lot of food that have GMOs, genetically modified food that's created by man. I recently found out that broccoli It's not necessarily a natural plant that was, created by God from the earth. It's actually a hybrid plant that was created by man. And then, a while ago, I learned about, drinking milk. And we grew up, watching these commercials with people, oh, drink milk, it does the body good. And they're wearing the milk mustache, and you're feeding your baby cow milk and so forth. And that doesn't even make sense. When you start growing up and your eyes become open and spiritually awake, you start realizing that does not have any truth to it. And milk, actually, cow milk, actually can cause diseases and cancer and so forth. Because if you think about it, a cow is a different species. They produce milk for their youngings. We humans are another species. We produce milk for our own. So why would we go to another species to get nourishment? Does that make any sense? And then, I learned furthermore about, how the process of getting cows, how they extract milk from the cows. They constantly have to impregnate the cow in order for the cow to produce milk. And it can become very unhealthy, because if you think about it, if you constantly have to impregnate a cow for that cow to produce milk, then, the cow, it can develop like pus and so forth on its, the nipple area. And that can send diseases into the milk, and you're drinking it. That's disgusting. As we grow older, we find out that they were actually poisoning us with milk. So, it's not God's best. That was not God's best. That was not his original intent. It's sin came into the world. Slaughtering animals and eating them, that's sin that came into the world. And we developed a taste bud for it. And now we crave it. We can't get enough of it. Because it's not just about your physical health. Food and the earth, the things that God put in this earth also helps us physically, mentally, keeps us mentally sharp, and just keep us younger, keep us living longer and so forth, keep us free from diseases and cancer. And it's interesting because you can't depend on the mass media and these people out there who are doing these cancer fund, where they're dedicating a certain month to cancer awareness and wearing pink and so forth, and going jogging and running for cancer to find a cure, and we're gonna donate and funding for cancer. They're making a profit off of your sickness. That's how they make their money. They make their money on so many different ends of it. When you get sick and you got to go take this drug because you get stressed out, you don't know what to do, so you feel like, let me go crawl to some doctor and sit and wait to die. You're deteriorating mentally, physically, and everything is just working against you. And they're profiting off of that. And they won't tell you that there is cures. It's in the earth. God put them there. You're out in church going to get healing. God, heal me, heal me. He's telling you, eat of the herbs, eat from the fruits. This is what I gave you. Eat it. There's herbs. Eat it. There is cure for every disease on this planet, even in this time. They may not educate you about it, because why would they? You have, that scripture I just read to you guys. It even repeats itself. God repeats this in Revelations. Because there's a scripture in Revelations. What does it say? It's Revelations 22 verse 2. Down the middle of the great street of the city, on each side of the river, stood the tree of life, bearing 12 crops of fruit, yielding its fruit every month, and the leaves of the trees are the healing of the nations. Okay, like physical fruit. I mean, you can put that spiritually, but it's natural as well. We can't leave out the natural aspects of these things either. Yeah, you could take it spiritual, but it's also a natural aspect, because again, this is God's best, and he created everything on this earth for us to heal us and so forth. Okay, and this is why cancer and all that stuff festers in us, and people, they intentionally want to keep us sick. You see all these food commercials promoting the same things that are making you sick, and then the next commercial is about a drug or funding cancer, how they care about you and want you to come to some safe haven where you can stay there and just die of your cancer in peace. That's ridiculous. I highly suggest that, the African Americans look up this man. His name is Dr. Sebi. We just recently found out about him. My husband, he was doing a lot of research because he's been changing up his diet, and he's fully in now in trying to eat more healthy, and this is just what we want to do in our household. And he's been, researching, and he bumped into some information, and this doctor named Dr. Sebi, this man cured like all the diseases you can think of. Cancer, AIDS, he cured people of all of these things. Now, he was well known in celebrity arena, like, I think Lisa Left Eye Lopez knew of him, and she went to his camp or something where she was healed, and she learned about different foods that can heal you and so forth, and she was going to continue to teach her friends and other people about Dr. Sebi. And he had some obstacles because he had to deal with certain black people who didn't believe in that type of stuff, and it was mind-boggling to him. And mind you, he was a Seventh-day Adventist, and then I think he started doing some other type of spiritual practices, but he was flabbergasted at the fact that even with Christians that they were rejecting his method of healing, but it's in the Bible, which I just expand to you guys. Also, I do recommend a video called Pharmakos. I think it's called Pharmakos by G. Craig Lewis. He did an excellent job breaking down all, the pharmaceutical company and the drug company, and his testimony was very powerful and touching, how he was dealing with certain illness, and he was going to all these different doctors and they couldn't help him, and then he just went to a holistic doctor where he learned so many different things. After, he went through this cleansing, like physical cleansing, like cleansing all that junk that he had in his system, and then he started feeding his body good food, herbs and vegetables and certain fruits and so forth. He had more energy. He was able to do his ministry. He was able to hear even more clearly from God and get a better, clear perspective of how to, deliver his messages. He lost a lot of weight and people were concerned, but because people are uneducated about when you go through that type of process, when you start eating healthier, yeah, you're gonna lose weight, but as long as you're healthy, you can tone up and do exercises and stuff like that, but don't expect to gain a lot, gain back the weight, because that weight was bad weight. It was junk weight. And that's basically my thoughts about Christians and becoming a vegan, or if you're vegan, or if you're a vegetarian and so forth. I think there's a lot of stigmatism to it, and I think there's a lot of ignorance in the black Christian churches when it comes to that. And as something I dealt with, when I was, because I'm a petite woman, I'm petite by my genetics, and I found my dad, he's in his 80s and he looked like he's in his 50s, and he's energetic and full of life. So it's just genetic. I was built this way genetically. And now that I started eating even healthier, I always eat healthy, but I never eat a lot of food. I never ate a lot because I have a small stomach anyway, so it was a blessing in disguise really for me. As I'm making this transition to eating healthy, it's easy for me to do that. And I never became sick often. I can't remember last time I was very, very sick. I don't get sick easily at all. If I get anything that may be close to a flu, I get over it within a matter of hours or a day or so. So I have a pretty good immune system that's very strong naturally. So that's a plus for me. So look up Dr. Sebi and get yourself Pharmakos, I think that's how it's pronounced, by G. Craig Lewis. And get yourself eating healthier and better, because there's going to come a day where you will have no choice. It's time for a change. That's it for this video. Bye-bye.